Housekeeping? Housekeeping? Hello? Is he dead or sleeping? Poke him. No, you poke him. No, you poke him. No, you— My first job was housekeeping at a hotel. Believe me, it wasn't my first choice. Or my choice at all, really. I had just turned 14 years old, which meant that I was finally old enough to start working. I was basically an adult at that point, so it was only natural that I become more mature and tackle the responsibility of a summer job. Also, I needed money so that I could buy Hello Kitty from Claire's. I made up a list of places that I could work, and I also made a killer resume, and I was ready to use them. But my mom, who worked at a hotel at the time, came home from work and— Guess what? You got the job at the hotel and you're starting tomorrow. I had never applied for a job at the hotel. I guess my mom just approached her boss and said, "I created this, just take my word that she'll be fit for the job." It's the one and only time I've benefited from nepotism. So, let me tell you about the wondrous world of housekeeping. Where do I start? The hotel where I worked had around 50 rooms, and each morning we would get this chart that would show which rooms were checkouts and which rooms were stayovers. For every checkout room, we had to clean the bathrooms, dust, vacuum the floors, make the beds, and of course, leave candy on the tip envelope to bribe people into leaving us money. We needed to have every room cleaned before 3 p.m. because that was the check-in time for new guests. If everything went smoothly for the day, there was no problem finishing by check-in time. It was totally manageable. But there were many days where things did not go smoothly, and they happened regularly. Sometimes they happened all at once. A housekeeper calling out sick, a room being totally trashed, the washing machine malfunctioning. For me, the most infuriating thing was when guests wouldn't leave by checkout time. We're still here. Checkout was 30 minutes ago. Are you on your way out? Yeah, we're leaving right now. They're not leaving right now. So on the days where everything is going wrong and we're running late, and then new guests come in at the scheduled check-in time and their room isn't ready, they huff and puff while they wait in the lobby with their suitcases, already typing out a bad review of the hotel on their phone and hurting my feelings. That's why you need to check out of your goddamn room on time, Heather. This is a delicate operation we're running here. I think housekeeping would be a brutal introduction to the workforce for anybody, but it was especially bad for me. It's a fast-paced, physically demanding job, and I was a 14-year-old girl with soft, manicured hands that had never worked before. Now they're all calluses and chemical burns. Some of those days were so miserable, so it was a relief that I had good coworkers to suffer with. Of course, I worked with my mom, and that was fun because I love my mom, and we get along really well. But I also worked with my friends, which made the entire housekeeping experience much more fun. Like, you know how when you go to a hotel, the first thing you do is jump between the beds? We would do that pretty regularly. It's super fun. We'd also pass the time by singing, loudly, and not in tune. No, our boss wasn't around very often. Why are you asking? Sometimes we like to look at reviews of the hotel during our lunch break, and one day we found one that said, "Pleasant atmosphere. We loved listening to the housekeepers sing as they worked." It was an alright hotel, and most of the reviews were positive. Anyway, I never saw a negative review that specifically targeted the housekeepers. A lot of them complained that our town was boring and there wasn't much to do, which— I'm sorry, what do you want me to do about that? And they were especially passionate about how terrible the continental breakfast was. I mean, I agree, but I'm not going to go on Yelp and write a dissertation about a stale croissant. Seeing those bad reviews made me wish that there could be a review site for the guests. I could write some words about how terrible some of them are. I could even make an animation about how terrible some of them are. This is the part where it gets gross, and we briefly talk about some NSFW things. If you're weak or a child, it's just best that you leave now. I'm going to give some examples of the atrocities I've seen and cleaned at this hotel, and it might get a little graphic. Anyone with an earshot is going to ask what the hell you're watching. As you can imagine, we cleaned a lot of shit, literally, and other bodily fluids. It was gross and not fun, obviously. Let's just dive into the worst of it. On one very busy summer day, the housekeeper split up into teams of 2 so that we could clean rooms on both floors at the same time. The routine whenever we split up like this was that one person would clean the bathroom, the other would clean the bedroom, and then they would make the beds together. This fateful day, we walked into the aftermath of a boozy party. These guys vomited on the bed, on the wall, on the floor, just everywhere. It was horrendous. If a bottle of alcohol could be alive and puke, that's what this room smelled like. You totally got this. I believe in you. Given all of the vomit in the bedroom, cleaning the bathroom seemed like the safer option. What an idiot! Guess what was in the bathroom? Guess. A toilet filled with puke. By that I mean, literally, filled to the brim, spilling down the sides and caked onto the floor. I stood in the doorway looking at that abomination for about a minute, just processing it. I very seriously considered quitting then and there. I could leave, right now. Walk out the door, go home without telling anybody. I could totally do that. But I sucked it up and cleaned the toilet, and I leveled up as a housekeeper that day. Guests left behind bodily fluids, you get the picture. What else did they leave behind? We'd find drugs once in a while. Nothing crazy, but I'm pretty sure I've dusted up cocaine a bunch of times. The occasional sex toy would be left behind. Those would go in the trash, not the lost and found bin. A big pet peeve of mine was when guests threw trails of flower petals down the hall leading to the honeymoon suite. I understand having them in the actual room as a romantic gesture, that's fine, but putting them in the main hall for everyone to see is kinda weird. Like, you had sex, I get it. Congratulations. Each of the rooms had ironing boards, and the ironing boards had this cloth covering them. One time a guest hid DVDs of porn inside the ironing board cover. Like, filled the entire thing with them. Just, why? Why would you do this? Have you ever been working with your mom, taken the cover off of an ironing board, and found half a dozen pornographic movies? No, just me? Some days I would be so exasperated by the weirdness of it all. It felt like guests were doing weird things on purpose just to mess with us. And sometimes they were. Exhibit A. We've seen this happen more than once. It's a classic. Wrapping up the sheets to look like a dead body. As you can see, at least they left a tip, so that's nice. But I've watched enough true crime shows to know how many unsolved mysteries start in hotels, and I'm paranoid. Please don't do this to me. You never knew what would be in store for you behind the next door. I was irrationally afraid of finding a dead body, a real one. Opening the front door? Clear. The bedroom? Clear. Closet? Clear. Shower? Ugh. You know what you should do before you leave a hotel? Well, a lot of things, but just for me, you should drain your damn dirty bathwater. Why would you not? Oh, the housekeepers will take care of it. I'm not expecting the rooms to be spotless. It's okay if the room is messy when you leave, and I understand that it's my job to clean it. Even if I complain the whole time. Even if I make an animation complaining about it. But I don't understand deciding not to do an incredibly simple task, like flushing the toilet or pulling the plug in the bath. It would have spared me so much suffering. The gloves don't go all the way up my arm, you know. So yeah, housekeeping. It was an okay job. Well, okay is a strong word. Being a housekeeper gave me interesting stories to tell, and it helped me build character. But now I have enough character, and I'm very happy to close that chapter in my life. The end.